Next chapter, man on the battlefield. On the battlefield, the real enemy is fear and not the bayonet or bullet. All means of union of power demand union of knowledge. That's a quote from Robert Jackson. And he continues here. It is of the battlefield that I speak in saying that the mind of the infantry soldier should be conditioned to an understanding of its reality through all stages of his training. And that's one of the reasons why I heard so many quotes about SLA Marshall is while we were getting trained, people would refer back to SLA Marshall. And when I ran training, I knew I had to bring it up sometimes because I'd say, look, here's what's going on. We need to think about this. And I'll get to some of those points later. But training, his methodology when he wrote this book, part of the focus is like, hey, we need to train people differently. And what he says about training is 100% valid. 100% valid. Back to the book. He needs to be taught the nature of the field as it is in war and as he may experience it someday. For if he does not acquire a soldier's view of the field, his image of it will be formed from the reading of novels or the romance written by war correspondents, of which he was one, by the way, or from the viewing of or from viewing the battlefield as it is imagined to be by Hollywood. One of the purposes of training should be to remove these false ideas of battle from his mind. Totally agree. Absolutely. To give the soldier a correct concept of battle is a far different thing from encouraging him to think about war. This is it. So think about what I just said. To give the soldier a correct concept of battle is a far different thing from encouraging him to think about war. The latter is too vast a canvas. It includes too much detail, which is confusing to his mind and immaterial to his personal problem. So he's like, don't think about this big picture. You need to think about what's happening. We have surpassed all other armies and outstripped common sense in our effort to teach man something about war. He's counseled about war's causes, which is a good thing on which those rare occasions when the instruction is in qualified hands. He is told about how the soldiers and sailors of other nations observe courtesy and foster tradition. He is even bored by lectures on the strategy and logistics of high command. But he does not get what he requires most, the simple details of common human experience on the field of battle. As a result, he goes to the supremely testing experience of his lifetime as almost a total stranger. So you learn all these, and you know what? Actually, when Leif took over the junior officers course coming out of Buds, it was very focused on the big picture stuff, and it wasn't helping these guys being prepared to be in a SEAL platoon. And Leif was like, no, I got to change this. You can still talk about the stuff, and it's important to. You don't throw it out, but you got to teach people what the human experience on the battlefield is. And that's what Leif tried to do, and that's what I tried to do when I took over training. And my training was further along when I took it over. You know, we were already moving in that direction, or it already reflected that. But a lot of the stuff that Leif was being taught in Leif's course was not the human experience on the field of battle. Leif tried to get that in there, and he did a good job of it. Back to the book. The price for failure. So he's talking about to train these people correctly. The price for failure is paid all up and down the line. Men go into action the first time, haltingly and gropingly as if they were lost at night in the deep woods. Lives are wasted unnecessarily. Time is lost. Ground that might be taken is overlooked. It is not necessary that these misfortunes befall organizations simply because they are new to battle. It is possible that the infantry soldier can be trained to anticipate fully the true conditions of the battlefield. It is possible that units can be schooled to take full and prompt action against the disunifying effect of these conditions. Fear is ever present, but it is the uncontrolled fear that is the enemy of successful operation, and the control of fear depends upon the extent to which all dangers and distractions may be correctly anticipated and therefore understood. You gotta simulate battle. That's what you gotta do. And they did a great job when I was going through my workups. They did a great job of doing that. When I took over and was running training, we brought it even to the next level. It was freaking mayhem out there. And I had many people, and we're going to have some guys that are retiring in the future that are coming on the podcast that went through my workups. They will tell you being in actual combat was easier. It was easier. And that's what my goal was. We want this training to be so chaotic. And when you think about this right here, when you think about law enforcement training, should be the same way. You want these guys completely tested. You want it to be harder than anybody they ever have to deal with. You want the situation to be more stressful than they're going to deal with in real life. And that's how you get them prepared.